Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to the Gailey Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. Executive producer Jim Pounds joins me in studio now. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, all.
And so happy. Director, writer, theater maker Allison Vincent is here with us now to talk about Red and the Mother Wild, which is opening this weekend, produced by Transatlantic Love Affair, opening at the Illusion Theater tonight, March 28th, running through April 12th. Allison Vincent, friend of the show, friend in general, welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be back with y'all.
And this worked out so perfectly that your
Truly.
show is opening tonight. So tell us, Red and the Mother Wild, what's it about?
So Red and the Mother Wild is about, it's kind of a riff on the Little Red Riding Hood fairy tale. So it imagines, well, what if this young woman was not necessarily, because we never hear about Red's mom outside of being handed that little basket and then sent on her way into the woods. So we kind of thought about, well, what does that story look like if we kind of pull it apart and then create a narrative where the wolf is not necessarily explicitly evil, but like how are people like wolves, and how are wolves just part of like the nature of a wolf and what they do in the ecosystem versus people who are wolves and how they operate in communities. So in our version, Red is an orphan, but the town has adopted her. So she splits her time between 4 different families in the community, and we all raise her together. And then you kind of see her have this call to the wild. They're in this little Appalachian town surrounded by wilderness, and she constantly finds herself being pulled out there, even though the town is very gender restricted, because she's a woman. She's supposed to stay and do dishes and do chores and things like that, but she feels herself like being called out into the wilderness, and everyone is trying to stop her from doing that. So lots of thematic issues that are relevant to today. And then also just kind of a really beautiful tale of the wilderness and nature and what it does to the human spirit.
So walk us through the writing process. You were using we there. So was this like a collective effort from Transatlantic Love Affair, or was it like who was involved in the writing of it?
Absolutely. So Transatlantic is a ensemble that creates our own work, and we usually have a nugget of some kind of launchpad story, in this case, Little Red Riding Hood. And then there's usually kind of a script lead or someone who has the idea to make the show. In this case, is our director, Isabel Nelson, who's one of our co-founders. And so we made this show, Resurrected, way back in 2011 for the Fringe Festival, and the Illusion Theater, who has been an amazing partner to us, asked us to bring that 50-minute version, 45-minute version to the Illusion and expand it. So we did that in 2013, and the ensemble creates the text. So we devise, meaning that we'll get a prompt from the director, and then we'll create different kind of improvisations, present them. Then we'll kind of steal the things that work really well from, set A, set B, set C, and then kind of continue refining scenes that way. And then we put them all together in a script. So it is co-created, co-written by the ensemble. And then we talk about it being conceived by, usually the directors, whoever has like the main idea. So Isabel, between the original 2013 version and this current version, wrote this beautiful poem about, like, there are definitely shades of Red Riding Hood in it, but it's kind of imagining this mother who loses her daughter. So we've taken a few pieces from that as well, from her poem, and we'll like kind of weave that in. The company felt like there were a few pieces of that 2013 version that we didn't quite feel like landed. We didn't stick the landing necessarily on them. So we've taken those out and then added some new pieces in. So it is like a remix of that original 2012/2013 version. And we feel much like, it feels like this is the good one to kind of end this chapter for our company of the Little Red Riding Hood-esque story.
I want to get into that whole process, because that's so unique, and I love that, and particularly in the moment that we're in, the value of creating theater in that way.
Mhm.
On the show, walk us through when you were talking about like the gender restrictions and how are you all playing with gender within the show?
Absolutely. So we are really careful. We operate a lot of time in ambiguity because I think that helps the audience see. We don't use any sets or props. We use a lot of mime and physical theater. So very often when I'm not a person, I'm like a tree or a door, you know? So and I actually love doing that. I think it's so fun as an actor and such a fun challenge. So that enables us to operate in spaces where the audience is almost painting with us. So we'll give them the outline of something and then they get to use their imagination and paint in the color and things like that. It's really funny. After our shows, there's almost always one audience member who'll come up and be like, "Oh, I thought the whole miming thing was so cool, but why did you choose to use a cup in that one scene?" Like, what cup are you talking about? So like audiences sometimes will be able to see something so clearly they think that it's a thing when I promise we never use sets or props. Um, and I just think that, living in a space where I'm fully guilty of this, oftentimes I'll come home and I'll be totally zapped from my day and I'll put on the big screen, like the TV, and then I'll be on my little screen on my phone and I'm not even paying attention to what I'm watching, nor am I really paying attention to what I'm looking at. And it's just like all this entertainment available at all times, streaming. I don't know. It's so passive as a way to consume things. And I think one of the things that we offer that is a challenge for sure, and it definitely doesn't work for everybody, but I think it is kind of inviting the audience into the theatrical process to paint in those scenes and really layer in, like they get to participate a little bit with their brains as they're watching what we're doing.
I've actually noticed that phenomenon of the phone and the
Yeah,
TV, and
it's
I'm
not good.
actually trying to begin to say, I mean, like emotionally, I'm sort of like, I just like knowing the TV is on or there,
Yes,
like an emotional
absolutely.
blanket, weirdly, as like a Linus
Mhm.
blanket or something. But I am starting to be like, am I actually wanting to watch this? Like, or can I put my phone away and just here be like in the moment, be present?
Mhm.
I actually started noticing I've been forgetting my phone in like
Mhm.
places, which is weird for me because I'm always like I need my phone in my hands.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Maybe it's after the election stuff. But
I think I've been told to not bring my laptop into the room when the television is on by somebody that's also on this interview, to let you know.
it's too many screens.
Yeah.
It's
Too
too
many
many.
screens. Too many screens.
But so that's what I'm really vibing with what you're talking about
Mhm.
the experience that you're putting together, and I think that this type of theater, the way that you're even going about making the theater has so much more relevance. Uber relevant before the election, but even
Mm.
now in terms of its ability to, I don't know if the word is fight back, but to create community and create space for ourselves as we're trying to reckon with
Mhm.
the moment.
Yeah.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about the history of Transatlantic Love Affair?
Absolutely. And then I will go back and I just realized I didn't actually answer your question. So I'll go back and answer your question as well. So Transatlantic Love Affair, we started in 2010. So Isabel Nelson is an amazing theater maker who I had the pleasure of working with on two shows. We were both acting in two shows. And she said, "Hey, I got into the Fringe, I know that you have a background in physical theater. Would you want to do this Fringe show with me? It's about this old Irish slash UK-ish version of the Selkie story." And I was like, "I don't know what that is." Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, a Selkie is a seal who has transformed into usually a woman, and they take their skin off, and as long as they still have their skin, they can go back into the ocean. And they say that people who are the children of Selkies have webbed toes or fingers and have like black eyes, like the seas in their eyes. So
Mm.
I was like, absolutely, that sounds so fun. And we all were like, this is never gonna work. People aren't gonna know what we're doing. It's gonna be like so, no offense, like black turtleneck theater. And and people actually really enjoyed it. And they enjoyed the challenge of trying to figure out, like watching us land and then figuring out where we were or what we were doing. And so well that Isabel was kind of like, I feel like we should do it again. So we put another ball into the Fringe, got in, we made Resurrected, and then we were like, it went very, very well. And we kind of decided right then and there, like, well, we should become a company, right? So this
Mhm.
is the next step is this group of people continue making work together in this style. So we've had members come and go. We've had amazing collaborators all along the way, and we've just been very blessed to have these incredible opportunities with The Illusion, with the Guthrie Styling Studio, with the John Hassler Theater, to get to not only make new work for them, but also then to incubate things that we already had made in other festivals. So the Twin Cities Horror Festival and the Fringe Festival really are the two kind of cornerstones of our generation as a company.
And then I think was the question about gender?
It was. Okay, great. So we operate in ambiguity. And one of the big places we leave that open-ended kind of space for the audience to paint whatever they want is time. So, I mean, like, it definitely feels like we are in an older space, whether that's like 1920, 1940, 1960, 1970. Appalachia is up to the audience. But there's like very little technology we see. So the kind of flashpoints of culture and where we are for us is really the language and the songs. We have a ton of really beautiful shape note songs all throughout the show. And that's kind of it. It's a highly religious space. We see the characters in church. One of the characters quotes the Bible a lot. My character, Miss Cooper, says grace over dinner every time they have a meal together. So like you get that kind of, constricted feeling of this is a very religious space. There's also very gendered labor happening with the mime. So like the men go out to the forest and they are very much in the logging industry. We only see them with axes. And then the women are home doing dishes, doing laundry, feeding chickens, things like that. And the expectations, like as Red ages, the question of like, are you ever going to settle down? Have you thought of starting a family? Like women can't be doing that. You shouldn't be running around with those boys anymore. So like those kinds of things where it's just little snapshots, but hopefully enough that the audience gets the sense of compression and like needing to get out of there.
I kind of feel
that.
We are including links in the show notes. So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on one of the podcast platforms, you can find that link in our show notes. If you go to our website, am950radio.com, and look up the episode description for today's episode, March 28th, you will find links in there as well of how more information, but also to buy tickets to Red and the Mother Wild. I am curious because we haven't talked since the election, Allison.
Yeah, woof.
But your role because you've been so active in the theater community here in Twin Cities and the creation of work like this and the company of how can theater, and I know I'm asking a huge question like 90 seconds before we hit a break, but maybe we can start it now and then continue it after the break of how can theater right now and or queer theater meet the moment that we're in?
I really think it goes back to Harvey Milk. I think the older I get, the more profound I think that statement of like, you have to come out because if they know you, it's harder to hate you. And I think for theater, that just means telling our stories, right? And telling stories, it doesn't always have to be explicit. And I think that's part of normalizing queer narratives is just kind of widening the lens to be like, yeah, and also maybe that person is living, a life where they don't meet gender standards, or maybe that person, maybe they did have a relationship, and it's not about making the whole show about like this gay moment. It's just about like these gay moments are life and they are the American narrative and they are part of who we are. And whether or not maybe it's your specific experience, you have been in community with people who exist in this community, or maybe will exist in this community a little bit later. I really think just sharing stories, giving voice to power to these narratives is like the way to help maybe walk back some of this hate that we're facing right now.
Let's continue. I love this. Let's continue this after the break.
You bet.
Quick break here. We're with theater maker, director, writer Allison Vincent. New show, Red and the Mother Wild by Transatlantic Love Affair, opening tonight at the Illusion Theater. More after this break. Affair, whose newest show Red and the Mother Wild is opening tonight at the Illusion Theater, March 28th, and running through April 12th. Before the break, we started a big conversation about how theater can meet the moment that we're in right now. And I wasn't expecting this, and I love that the connection to Harvey Milk, who was the first elected gay official, I think, in the country, or at least out anyway.
I think
And his mantra of once everybody comes out, then, you can, once we come out of the closet, then it's hard to, stigmatize against people who, your children, your siblings, your cousins, your, students, your coworkers. And I think that, for a lot of folks, they'll say, well, I don't feel like I'm in a place that's comfortable to come out. And I think as I was thinking in the break there about how theater can provide that coming out experience for folks who kind of feel like they're in a situation where they may not personally be able to come out, but you could participate in a production that
absolutely
has those stories, you know what I mean? Whether you choose personally to do that or not, based off of your own, personal situation, that theater can offer that to us in a way that, because and that's what I love about the way that you all go about doing the work and the imaginative invitation that you give to the audience members, that they're involved in it in a way that you can't necessarily be when you're watching TV and you're playing Marvel Contest of Champions on your phone. Not anybody on this call is playing that game. I don't know. Some other person is playing it, but
oh my goodness, that's
Allison,
amazing.
can I ask a question about
Absolutely.
this? I haven't seen the new. It's not new, but literally, I haven't been in the Illusion Theater space that exists now. What is? I gather that it's smaller than they were before. How many? How many does it? Is it a very intimate place?
It is. It's intimate. So it actually reminds me a lot of the Guthrie's Dowling Studio. If you had been up there, where it's like a mid-sized black box.
Yeah.
And we're performing on a raised stage, and there's seating on the floor. So it's a pretty good vantage point. There's raked seating in the back, and then floor seating as well. And the Center for the Performing Arts in general is like a beautiful building. There's several different art spaces inside that building, and there's all these amazing, like every time I go in there, I'm just like, what's going on in there? It's like some drumming classes happening, people are playing piano in a studio space, people are doing African dance. It's just like, this is so fun. So I just love going there and just walking through just like these kind of puffs of culture that are wafting into the hallways. But the Illusion occupies kind of the main stage space in this beautiful black box. So which is, we have a white scrim behind us just to throw color on the back wall. But it's kind of perfect for us, where it's very blank, So yeah, I really like it. Of course, the old building was so cool, but I think this was a really cool move for them.
It's good. Do you have any idea how many it seats? I mean, how many?
Such a good question. No.
Well, okay.
I'm so sorry, I don't.
More on the intimate end, or more of like it's more on the
more on the intimate end. Yeah, I think any seat's going to be a good seat. Yeah.
Cool.
So I also want to know, do you have any writing projects right now? I can't have a conversation with Allison Vincent and not ask if you've got a writing project.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, so like I've been very focused on this, and and getting kind of refining the language. So a lot of what you hear the characters say, they've written, which is really cool. I just been focusing on just kind of bridging a few little breaks in narrative logic here and there. So I think we're really in good shape, and everything's humming. So now my goal this summer, you guys are gonna be my accountability buddies. My goal this summer is, I do have a few writing projects I need to sit down and like tend to. So one of them, I started at the Everwood Farmstead, which is this amazing residency in Western Wisconsin, where theater artists, and actually any artist, can go out and take a week on the farm and just focus. And Chris Everett and Bill Underwood run that. They're amazing. And it's about Ha 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 ha. It's about the fall of the Weimar Republic and a group of comedy troupe that's trying to keep things light and funny despite like the world falling down around them. Which when I started writing it, I was like, oh, things are getting kind of gross. Maybe this speaks to the moment. And now it's like, oh no, it is the moment. So I need to sit down with that. Yeah.
Well, this is exciting because you've done a lot of like academic writing and personal writing on like Christopher Isherwood
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
the Cabaret. It was based off Cabaret.
Oh yeah. Goodbye to Berlin.
Goodbye to Berlin. So,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, I can't. This is gonna be exciting.
Yeah, it's also like terrifying, right? Writing a new thing. When you're by yourself, it's scary. When you're with your others, it's so much better and more kind of kind.
But how apropos of the apropos
Apropos.
Apropos? Yeah, you're right. You got it. Yeah, yeah.
of the moment, and I say that because we have had a couple of scholars already, and we're lining up some others who've been talking about that moment of the Weimar Republic and what we can learn from it today, as you know, fascists came in and took over. So
Yeah.
definitely let us know when
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
done, because I want to that whole period of history is
Mhm.
so amazing. First of all, just what LGBTQ rights movement was, and the expression, and the Institute for
Mhm.
Sexology. Wow, I can talk. It's a Friday.
It's a Friday. Yeah.
I really want to talk to you more about that. So when it's ready to go, let's have you back on here.
You bet.
Allison, tell us, how can folks connect with you and Transatlantic Love Affair and get their tickets for the show?
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook as well as Transatlantic Love Affair, or on Instagram. You can also look at our website. That's kind of the best way to see what's going on now. And then if you want to see me perform, we're my other company, For Humors. We have our April Fool's fundraiser coming up on April 19th at the Eagle, not the gay bar, the Legion of Eagles. I can't remember its full title, but over in Seward. Or I'm going to be directing Mae West and the Trial of Sex for Walking Shadow coming up here in the late spring.
Perfect. Well, thank you for being on the show. Thank you, everyone, for listening
Oh,
today.
my
Stay tuned.
pleasure.
Matt McNeil is up next. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And until next Monday, keep it here and keep it queer, America.